Jumping, running, and even walking can cause injuries that leave student athletes sidelined for part of the season, if not all of it, making practice and side drills even more important.
The biggest part of that is making sure they're conditioned enough as far as ankle sprains, making sure your ankles are strong and you've been doing some balance exercises.
You could play all your life and never be injured, or you could get an injury every season. It's different for everyone.
This spring season, athletes are dealing with practicing inside, creating more opportunities for potential injuries.
It's normal for a day to a day and a half to be sore after a very strenuous workout or a really tough game. If you're having a problem longer than that and it's getting worse, not better, don't ignore it.
While rest is the key to recovery, it's also important to reiterate the basics in any sport.
It's not just your warm-up or your skills, but it's also your form. Where their landing foot ends actually impacts whether or not they're overstressing or straining their shoulder or their elbow.
But it's not just body positioning that keeps an athlete healthy.
Everything starts from the ground up, so you need to make sure your feet are in supportive shoes, and also just making sure you're stretching and heating, icing, and taking care of your body nutritionally.
At a young age, let your body entertain a lot of different activities so that you're strong and flexible. When you only focus on one thing, day in, day out, your body is just adapting to that, and so you may develop problems in areas that you don't use, so you don't recognize.
A way to remember how to take care of an injury is using the acronym RICE, which stands for Rest, Ice, Compression, and Elevation.